Hey everyone, I'm Rebecca Flaherty and welcome back. Today we're making this floral pattern together in Procreate. This series is all about combining the Pattern Maker canvas and my original trailing floral templates, both from my Etsy shop, to help you unlock even more creative possibilities and to see how you can use the two together. I've created a bonus set of free floral stamps, some palettes and a sparkly gold texture that you can get for free as an add-on from the Pattern Maker's Toolkit. We're going to be using the diamond method, and because this is a trailing floral template series and I've already made a set of introduction videos for that one already, this series is going to be a little faster paced and more of an intermediate level. If you're looking for a more beginner-friendly guide on how to use these trailing floral templates, then check out the initial series of videos for those, or my Skillshare classes, which go step by step through the basics. And don't worry if you don't have the templates yet, you can download a free sample from the Pattern Maker's Toolkit and create your own diamond guide using a 3600 pixel canvas and a sketch layer with a diamond going right off all four edges. So we're going to start in our gallery screen here and import the floral canvas first. So tap on import, and it's canvas 3 we're going to bring in today. And it will have a plain white canvas, so don't panic. You just need to go into the sketch and turn that layer on. The reason I save them like this is because it takes up less file space if you save it with no image preview on there and have it as a plain white background, and that then means I can upload them all in one single file to Etsy rather than having to do multiple downloads. So tap onto this file here and copy. Then we can come out of back into the gallery, and now we're going to bring in the Pattern Maker canvas with the textures. So go to import and bring that one in, and it's the updated version that we're going to use today. So then up here we can close that folder with all the textures in it, open up the sketch folder, tap on this one at the bottom here, swipe down with 3 fingers and paste. And there we go, we've got our template in there. So we're going to jump right in with this, and we're going to use from the Florals 2.0 brush set. This is a free add-on you can get from the Pattern Maker's Toolkit. I'm going to use this one, number 3, for canvas 3, and I'm going to stamp this into these black circles here on this Draw Here First layer. And the first one, I think I've got it set the right size for the smaller of the two, and I'm using 23% on that one. And I'm also going to grab the palette for this one, which is, whoops, canvas 3, and I'll just use this purple colour. So 23% brush, I'm going to stamp in these smaller ones, and then use the select tool to draw around these, and just with snapping and magnetics off, just line them up so that they kind of face the same way as the stalk goes. And these ones here, although the stem that goes into these is blue, the circle itself is black, so we're going to have these on this layer. So you do need to add these ones in. There we go, and then I'll make the brush a little bit bigger. What size was that? 26, we'll try that. And then just stamp one of those over each of these, and then we can turn these round. There we go, that's all of those in place. I'm not going to trace over the leaves and stems in the sketch layer because the position of those is already marked out, but if you wanted to switch up the position of those, or if you're making your own, then I would trace over those and use those in this next step we're going to do, which is to put these around the outside in our sketch layer so that we know what we're drawing. So I'm going to pinch down and merge this layer that has the flowers on it with the sketch diamond. Then I'm going to duplicate, tap transform, put snapping and magnetics on, and I'm going to snap this halfway down and halfway across, and you'll see those orange lines there, and you know it's snapping into place. And you'll see these flowers from up there, and now filling the spaces around the edges. So we duplicate again and bring this one over to this side, and then do the same, snapping it up into this corner, and then last of all down here into this corner. Then I'm going to pinch the top 4 layers together and tap on it and invert the colours, and then I can see which ones I'll be drawing. So just the purple ones that are inside the black circles, and then all these green ones, they'll be made by repeating the others. So now we're ready to move on to the pattern layer. So I'm going to turn on the pattern group, tap onto this layer here, and this is a trailing floral template, which means some of these lines go over the edges and need to match up with where they are on the other edge of this diamond. So the places to do that are up here where they cross over, that needs to match up with down there, and also this one here is going to need to blend in with this part here. So we're going to draw this in first and then correct the edges in the next step. I'm going to use this green, and from this brush set I'm going to use the tracing crayon. So I'm going to start up here and bring it down to there, trying to stick as closely as I can to the dotted line. And then I'm also going to draw this part up here in. Then I'm going to put a mark in this corner and that one. Duplicate, tap transform. I've still got snapping and magnetics on, and I'm going to snap one down here and then duplicate that bottom one again and snap one down into this corner. I'll pinch those 2 top ones together, and we can then check how, first of all, how it's merging in here, and that looks pretty good there. But if yours is slightly wonky or it doesn't quite match up properly, go onto your bottom layer, so this one, grab your eraser and just erase back that line a little bit, and then what you need to do is just start drawing it again and just merge it in with this one here. And then this one here, we can make sure we're on this bottom layer and then draw this and merge it in with that. There we go. So that's all of the trailing parts covered now. So we can get rid of this top one and we can carry on tracing over all of these stems now. All of the black stems. So if it's a black stem or a leaf, we're going to draw it in the pattern group. These pink ones will be done in the extra folder. And you can make these leaf shapes any shape you like. I'm just going for classic teardrop shapes with these tutorials, just for the sake of making the tutorials a bit quicker. But you can make them pointy shaped, you can make them kind of like oak leaves, anything you like. You could even replace some of the leaves with flowers if you wanted to. You can make it your own in any way that you like. And this seems a good place to talk about licensing. If you're wondering if you can sell the pattern, yes, you can sell derivative works you create. Just make sure they're a little different from mine by using your own spin, and remember they can't be licensed exclusively because the motifs are given away for free and would have been used by lots of other people. What I want to do now is put a little bit of texture over the top of these. We've got the texture from the canvas, but I want to put a bit of variation in colour over it. So I'm going to add a layer above, make it a clipping mask, and I'm going to grab this colour first of all. And I'm going to grab this painty texture brush here. Then I'm going to scribble over the whole thing, and I'm going to do it so that I cover over these flowers as well, so that I can use this texture over those. So I'm going to just scribble over the whole of the canvas like that, making sure I go all the way past the edges, or at least mostly up to the edges. Then I'm going to grab the lighter green, just do a big scribble with that one, maybe a bit more heavy-handed with that one, and then I'm going to go over it again with this darker colour that I used underneath, just to bring the intensity of that down a little bit. So then if I unclip this, you can see I've got something like that. Clip that back over and we'll be able to apply that to these green leaf bits as well. So now I'm going to add a layer above and draw the flower petals in, and I'll use this purple colour for this one. I might just invert the colours on this one. So if I tap on the sketch layer that's got this on, I'm going to invert those and then invert the one on top. So now what I'm actually drawing is the green ones and skip the others. I'll just draw these tulip shapes in. And for these ones here, although we haven't drawn the stems going into them because they're going to be made by duplicating, this flower is in a black circle, so we do need to draw these ones. Now I want to switch up the colour of these slightly, so I'm going to alpha lock this layer. I'm going to grab from the summer icon set, which is free over in the Pattern Maker's Toolkit, this colour changer brush, and I'm going to set my primary colour as this one here, this pinky purple colour, and then the secondary colour I'm going to set as this yellowy green colour. And then I'm going to scribble over these, making sure to go over the whole thing, and that's going to just vary up the shades of these. I'll leave some in the original pink colour. And just keep scribbling over these until I come to a colour I like. For example, if I end up with two that are too similar next to each other, then I would scribble over it again. But I quite like the blend I've got there. So that will do for those. And now we can add a layer above. I'll set the blend mode of this one to linear burn so that I can see what's underneath. And then we're going to draw these sepals over the top, and they're going to be in this green colour. And I want my tracing crayon for this one again. Then what I want to do is to add a bit of gold texture in on this. So I'm going to add a layer above, and I'm going to go to the canvas actions. I'm going to add, and I'm going to insert from my camera roll this seamless gold file here, which you can get over in the Pattern Maker's Toolkit as well. That's another free add-on I made to go with this. So add a layer underneath, tap on this layer and make it a clipping mask, and then I'm going to use the line details brush. And on this layer underneath, make sure it's the underneath layer, I'm going to just draw a little bit of line detail on these like this. And then on these dots, I'm going to use the mini dot brush. And add those in, and I'm also going to add a few dots around the canvas like this. I'll go ahead and do all of those now. Now that we have all of those parts done, I'm going to change the blend mode on this back to normal. I'm going to duplicate this layer, drag it up above these, and make that a clipping mask on there as well. Then we can put these pink bits in on the edges. So to do that, I'm going to first of all turn the textures off, swipe down with 3 fingers and copy all, turn the extra group on, tap on that, swipe down again and paste. And I can put the textures back in again. And I'm going to duplicate this layer, tap transform and drag half of it over to this side, and then the one underneath I'm going to drag over to that side, making sure they snap at the edges, and when you zoom in there you can see that that's all lined up too, and now what was on the edges is in the middle. You can pinch those together, and we need to draw in these pink lines now, and it's going to be helpful if we can have this line put in to help us do that, which is that part up there. So I'm going to duplicate this, tap transform, snap it halfway down and halfway across until we've got that part in there, and then if I hide that, you can see this is the pink bit there that we need to draw. I could put the blend mode of this on multiply, and then we can see that bit there, and we can blend it in with what's underneath. So I'm going to add a layer above, grab this colour and the tracing crayon, and I'm going to draw these thicker pink lines in first. I think I'll start with this one and merge that in down there, and then we can add all of the rest in. And remember, we have the flowers drawn in on the other layer, but what I do want to do is grab the texture off that one to put on this one. So I'm going to come down to this one, tap copy on there, come up here, swipe down with 3 fingers and paste. And I think I'm going to try and do the offset on this one so that hopefully the textures will all line up. So if we bring half of that over there and the other half over there, pinch those together and make that a clipping mask. The only thing that I will need to do, turn the textures off for this, is just make sure that down the middle here we don't have too much of a jarring seam over this. I'm going to add a layer underneath and fill it with this, and it looks like that's where the colour ends and starts again. So what I'm going to do is tap on this layer here, go to my adjustments and tap on clone and put that over there, and brush, I'm going to use just a soft brush from the airbrushing set that comes with Procreate. Make it nice and small and just use that to blend that line there out. Can put that on there and blend that line out, and we've got another bit of it there. And another little bit there. And then that small part there just needs blending out, and then that's covered the join, and then this should meet up with where it joins in with the other part. We can get rid of this now. I'm going to duplicate the extra group. I'll pinch those bottom 3 together and delete those, and then flatten this one, and we've still got the layered one there to go back to if we need to. I'll drag that outside that group, hide the extra group, and then in our pattern folder here, just turn the sketch group off, I'm going to hide the pattern marker, duplicate the pattern group and flatten that as well. Then we can drag that up out of the layers folder, collapse that one down and hide that. So first of all, I'm going to put the extra group back on the sides. We need to draw lines going off the edges like we have on this layer. I'm going to duplicate this, tap transform, snap half of it over to this side, and then the one underneath, snap the other half over to that side, making sure you can see those orange lines there. Then we can pinch those together. You can see this is now in the place where it should be on the edges. We need to erase these marks, and then we can pinch those together. You should have these marks on the corners. If you've erased those or if they're not there anymore, you can draw those back on. And then let's put the textures on as well. And then we're going to duplicate this layer, tap transform, snap this one down to the bottom corner there, then duplicate the bottom one again, snap this one over to the edge, duplicate again, snap this one into the top right corner, duplicate the bottom one again, and bring that one over there. And then this one, although it's quite well disguised, you can see that that goes over the top there. So we need to bring this one down underneath And then this one at the top there, which is this corner piece here, that one also needs to come down underneath the main one in the middle. Just have a quick zoom in and make sure there's no other bits of stalks going above where they should be. That should look all right now. And then we need to erase these marks off the middle. So on this bottom corner there, we need to erase that bit, and on the middle square we can take those two edges off, and then this one here will need that bit erasing there, and then we can change the background colour to this lovely dark colour, and that is our finished pattern tile. Next thing we need to do is make sure that it's working in repeat. So I'm going to swipe down with 3 fingers and copy all, come up to the top here, swipe down again and paste, and we're going to add a layer underneath. I'll just fill it with this dark colour, and then I can invert it, and then that lighter colour will show through this if there's any gaps in the edges of the canvas. So tap on this layer, tap transform, and we're going to snap it up to the middle of the canvas there, and you should see 1800 pixels there. Then you can duplicate that and snap it over to this side, zoom in and just check down the middle there that you don't have any pink or whatever colour you've used underneath showing through, and that's looking okay, and the motifs are lining up as well. Pinch those together, duplicate, tap transform, and then we can snap this down to the bottom, and then again zoom in and check along where they meet there to make sure that the top and bottom seams are okay as well. And that's looking okay, and that pattern is now finished. Don't forget you can find the free brushes and palettes in the Pattern Makers Toolkit, plus 10% off everything in my Etsy shop for members. The Pattern Makers Toolkit is kind of like a free Patreon. You'll get a monthly email with creative prompts, seasonal colour palettes, early access to some of my YouTube videos, 10% off in my Etsy store, and a full library of free pattern making resources. It's just 1 email a month, no spam, and just goodies to help you stay creative. For even more pattern making fun, don't forget to check out my Skillshare classes with the free 1-month trial link below, and don't forget to subscribe here for your weekly dose of pattern making fun. Have fun, stay creative, and I will see you soon.